Hello everyone, my name is Cheese, and today we will be doing a tier ranking of The Amazing World of Gumball Season 5, Part 1, Episodes 1 through 20. So I will link up in the cards to my last video, which was Season 4, Part 2, because basically, because of the disaster in the rerun, how it's like split up between the two seasons, I will basically continue on my train of thought from the previous video as I'm talking about the reruns. So if you give a shit, then you can look at that if you want to. But if you've been here before, we already know what the hell's going on. So I'm just gonna jump straight into it because we have so much exciting things to talk about today. Okay, first, we already got the best one right up front, and I'm not even gonna hide it because who the hell do you think I am? The rerun is obviously peak. Like, as I've said before, the disaster and the rerun as like a pair is like my favorite episode. I count them as one because they're the same thing, but we get to finally fucking talk about it because I don't. If you ask me like which part do you prefer, don't ask me because I don't really know because like without the other, it's like the story's not complete. But the rerun has shaken my boots, like, in some particular ways that make some of these moments, like, my absolute favorite. Because with the situation of where we left off last time, where Gumball is able to rewind time and has the ability to fix or attempt to fix everything, knowing what's gonna happen in the future. And so he basically relives the same day. Like, he goes through, like, the same motions, but he's the only one that's aware that time has changed. He basically tries to warn everyone, like, hey, like, Rob is gonna basically make the world end. So, like, you have to believe me so we can, like, do something about it before shit hits the fan again. They don't really realize what is. At least, like, everyone but Gumball, because Gumball obviously knows what's going on, but, like, everyone else doesn't know the extent of what he is saying until it's like too late because they don't really like Darwin's like the first one to figure out once he like explains to him like the evil captions that is making him say like mean stuff to him. The real point where like hits a nerve and they realize we are so fucked is when they are able to rewind time so much that Nicole and Richard turn into babies, which effectively ends their bloodline because if you change like if you change the past to a certain extent, it's like it's gonna mess up what is happening, as Anais explained it there. But this is the point where it's like it's obviously more gruesome than part one because this is when they start like withering away, for like lack of a better term. Like I thought like the way they introduced that point was like I love it when Anais is like discussing like how the timelines work. Like if we're here and they're there and this ends here, then what's like after that? Like nothing. And then like her hand disappears. And then they're like, "Oh, that's such a great way to explain. I love the visual." And then she's like, "Wait a minute. My hand is actually fucking gone." And I'm like, "I like that." But I will admit like the most harrowing part of like all of this is the fact that like specifically when Anais and Darwin like basically disintegrate because the timeline got fucked up. The music and like the color grading and the way this is just animated and shot in general just makes this feel like so much different than anything else because it's like this the straightest they've ever taken a plot line, but it's like atmospheric. Like you can obviously feel the tension. Like this is the most I think I would argue this is the most like palpable tension that we have is them like racing against time to like avoid themselves from basically flying off the face of the earth. It's I might as well just talk about like my favorite part of all of this because I don't care how long it's been or how much I see it. This is one of my favorite parts of the entire series is when Darwin dies. So when I saw this for the first time, I knew they locked the fuck in because I'm like, this is so much. Like the whole scene where Gumball like has to watch helplessly as Darwin withers away and like his limbs like shrivel up. He's like he doesn't disappear completely. He's like a little fish dried out on the ground, and Gumball just has to watch his brother like slowly die in front of him. And my specific favorite part is the scream that Gumball lets out at Rob and then just tackles him as like that is like the most emotionally raw moment to me in this entire thing, because the scream, I have never been able to get over the scream itself, and like the specific look in his eyes as he like is about to basically fight Rob limb for limb as kind of like avenge for his dead brother or whatever. It's just so intense. Like I think it's like holy fucking angst, obviously, because that's just evil work. That is absolutely evil work for like Rob to do that to him. Because after that happens, Rob was like, "And I warned you, everyone you love," and then that's when he like jumps on him. But although he like they have the intention of like we're gonna save this timeline, we're gonna like prevent this from ever happening, but it's worse. It's just fucking worse than it otherwise would have been, because as Gumball says, well, great, now this is worse than last time. Cuz this is just unsettling and like disturbing on like just a different level, like on the most primal level, like literally watching your loved ones die before you type shit. But what I found interesting, it's kind of like after this point, like after he realizes this is worse than it's been before, he just doesn't really give a fuck like after the fact in kind of like an apathetic way. It's not like he's like necessarily like stereotypically sad and crying and like everything kind of like how you might expect him to act. He's just like doesn't care anymore because he's already lost everything. Because he's like, yeah, yeah, get on with your speech. Just do the damn thing. I've seen this all before. It's like he's basically gets so traumatized that he gets like desensitized to everything. He don't give a fuck that Rob's about to like throw him out into the void. Like as he opens the void with the remote, Gumball's like, ugh, okay, here we go again. It's like I think that's a very interesting way to handle it. It's like he's not even like scared or sad or anxious. He's just resigned, honestly. He's like, okay, just get this over with. Like, I know what you're gonna do. There's basically, he has nothing else to lose, really, because he's already lost everything. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Gumball sends Robin to the void, okay? And then he instantly regrets it because he's like, have I become the. Because I just banished this dude with no family or prospects into eternal damnation, pretty much. He's like, I have to save him before this all goes to shit, because as he makes this epiphany, he realizes I'm slowly dying as well. So it's the change of heart that he has that kind of reflects that Gumball's a flawed character, but he's not evil. I wouldn't say him leaving Rob to dust is necessarily an evil thing, because he would be justified in doing that because of the harm that Rob has inflicted onto literally everybody else. But it shows a different type of character that it's like, despite everything you've done to me, I'm still gonna save you because I want to not have to have this cost your life, because basically he feels bad for him. It's so interesting, even just like because this time when he like goes into the void, like obviously like the first time he's like reluctant to do and he like kind of limps over the edge of it. But this time he just literally dives right in. Like he's done this before. He knows what he has to do. It's basically there's a lot of like even character development between like parts 1 and 2, because obviously in the rerun he's more courageous and he's like more like weathered, like seasoned veteran of this bullshit, so he just kind of like basically just pulls his pants up and just does the damn thing, despite probably not doing that otherwise. But since I think it gets to the point where it's like he's seen so much that he's like, fuck it. what else is there to lose? I might as well just jump into the void and get him, because if not, I'm not gonna be able to live with myself. And even Rob's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're the hero. You're not supposed to, like, save me. Like, just do your thing. Leave me here to rot. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. Like, this is where I belong. And then Gumball's like, no, we're not doing that. You're coming with me. And I love the battle in the void, obviously, as, like, Gumball is, like, trying to mess with the remote, but he's, like, slowly withering away, so, like, he's more limited in what he can do. But just when he thinks he's fucked because Rob now has the remote and he's about to shrink away for good. But Rob can't do it. He decides at the last minute that he's gonna rewind time so that at least they're back in the real world and Gumball is, like, in one piece, okay? But he's like, I can't do it. So basically, even when Rob is basically handed everything he wants, as in his nemesis is about to die by his own hand, he realizes he can't do it. You came all that way to save me. I guess you're not so bad after all. This is why Rob will say in a future episode, I saved you, you saved me, and it got complicated. Where despite every single grievance they have towards each other and everything Gumball did to Rob, everything Rob did to go to Gumball, they decide to save each other because there's just a part of them that's like, they don't have it in them to, like, actually, like, go through with it. Because they want to, like, kill each other, you know? But it's like, when given the opportunity, they wouldn't even do it then. So this is, like, the moment when they, like, develop a soft spot towards each other. At least that's what I call it, because I guess I'll, like, link it in the description or something, but I did my most recent, like, Gumball fanfiction, The Mistake, has Rob in it, and, like, we talk a bit about this, like, this whole situation of, like, basically the soft spot they have for each other that, like, makes them not want to just, like, destroy each other when handed the opportunity. So, because they forgive each other to an extent, but they still can't, like, be completely fine with each other. Like, obviously, that's, like, to be expected. When Gumball says, I'm not that big of a man, and then he laughs at Rob, then Rob's like, I take back what I said. Like, you're pretty hard to hate, actually. And he's like, heh, and he's like, fuck you, actually. I just really enjoy the nuance of their relationship at this point, because I think that's, like, the most enticing thing about this. It's not black and white. It's, like, it's not, like, pure hate, pure forgiveness, or pure redemption or anything. It's just kind of like something inside them said, we have to spare them. Because they're really, like, not as bad as I made them out in my head, but they basically sacrifice their friendship to make everything go back to normal. So this is, like, the interesting part that I'm like, I like the fact that it kind of, it does it go back to the status quo after this? No. The X will then prove that that is not true. That it's like, it's not like a factory reset on the canon where it's like none of this, like, the results of any of this never had any effect on anything, because Rob remembers, because once he's able to rewind time and smash the remote before anything else happens, he is aware of that fact, which is why in the X he tells Gumball, I saved you, you saved me, it got complicated, I'm looking for something more simple right now. He's referring to that. But although in this episode it's meant to be like Gumball doesn't remember this because things carry on as usual, but in the X it's like he didn't, like, deny what Rob said. Because obviously he's referring to this event, but Gumball wasn't like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Like, you know? He just, like, sat there and, like, absorbed it as if he knew what he was talking about. And Rob said it to him like he knew what he was talking about. Okay, so it's like, I would argue this, like, the ending of this episode is not a factory reset to how it used to be. Okay, next we have the stories. This, like, surprised me by, like, how much I liked it. But I really like this one. specifically because I feel like it is like when I saw this is when I kind of noticed like the tonal shift from like season 4 to season 5 because I have noticed with this and like a lot of other episodes in this batch that it's got a bit more of a bite to it. I don't know, maybe it's not like necessarily like the jokes are always edgier, but I feel like it's a bit like sharper. Like I feel like the comedic timing's a bit sharper and like the types of jokes they choose to tell. Like when Gumball's like, does it involve the main character getting slowly hit by a bus? It's like that is intense for that, but okay. I just feel like this has a bit more edge to it. And like especially like watching these through, I'm like, okay, this is definitely a pattern. Like this is when we kind of shift into like the season 5 and 6 like tonal change because I argue that season 1 has its own tone, season 2 has its own tone, and then season 3 and 4 have its own tone, okay? But this whole thing of basically Molly's stories being like torture to listen to because she is not self aware of the fact that she should shut up, and everyone's extremely bothered by this. First, it makes me feel bad for Molly because I'm like, she just wants to talk to somebody, but she's like the lamest person on earth because she just has nothing interesting to say. It's like this is all stuff we've like known before that she was literally a reject of the universe because she was so lame. That's a fate worse than death, honestly, but I think with this episode it's not so much the actual story that is being told that's like making me interested. It's like basically the way the characters act around Molly. The part of this episode that makes me like I like definitely like it more than I would have if this wasn't included, where it just gets really fucking intense for no reason, but I absolutely love it, is the whole dodgeball sequence. But I like this kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere. It's like it just gets really dense like quickly where we're in the gym class, like basically everyone else commits suicide to avoid hearing Molly talk anymore. Cuz the way that Banana Joe says and will ensure like something like will ensure that we'll never have to hear another one again or something like that before he like lets himself get decapitated. I'm like I absolutely love the way this looks. Like just the way this looks, the music they put with it and like how like the lighting is like very shadowy. I feel like that scene just made this more intense than it should be, but that doesn't bother me at all because I love when they do shit like this. Especially since this specific sequence kind of like adds to the plot and like their relationship with Molly because Molly decides to take a hit for them. And then when Gumball's like, why? She's like, because you listened to me. It's like it shows how much she values like her relationship with them just because they are not mean to her. And that just makes them feel like extra bad. It's like we really can't like say anything bad to her because like we're the only people that she thinks like respects her or whatever. But it's more so like Darwin. Like I think that this episode kind of reminds me of The Advice in the fact that Darwin's trying his hardest to like make someone else feel better when Gumball's like fighting for his life, trying not to like crash out because it's important to know that Darwin is like the main person that's trying to spare Molly's feelings because Gumball just wants to like smack her in the face. He's like, your stories are awful. Leave us alone. I feel like both reactions are like valid because obviously Darwin doesn't want to hurt anybody, and Gumball just wants to bite someone's head off because he's that fed up. It's like they both make sense. In the specific part where like Gumball's about to say something stupid, then like Darwin like holds his mouth shut and like his head blows off. He like falls over. It's like I think like stuff like that's funny, like when Darwin has to, like physically resist Gumball from like crashing out. I feel like what they decide to do in the case of making up this like fake scenario so she'd have like something interesting to say and like her then like she like knows it was them because she I don't know like what her thought process was because it's not really explained, But I think maybe she like connected the dots of like what Gumball was trying to say, and then like something really crazy just happening out of the ordinary. That's when she's like, "Oh, they just set this up for me. It's not like this was like a natural occurrence." Cause she does like as we know, she does confess that like I know you just did all that so I'd have an interesting story to tell. True story. And then she like gives him a little kiss, which I think is very cute. Again, it's kind of like in the vein of the advice when like Gumball and Darwin try to distract Mr. Small from like the destruction he did. It's basically making a big diversion away from like the actual issue because in that episode like they wanted Mr. Small to feel like happy and proud of himself, and then like they wanted Molly here to like feel like she has something really interesting to tell, you know? But I do really like this. Like I'd say like I really like this. Okay, next we have the guy, which I will say that this just reminds me of the Parasite, but I like that other episode better. It's not like I don't like this. I do like it, but I just can't help but think that the Parasite just did this concept better. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I just prefer the whole concept of like Anais gets a new friend, but under what conditions type of thing. And in this case, it is this guy that she meets, Josh. And when she meets him, he just feels like the perfect guy. Like, we get along so well, and he seems to actually like me. It's like, oh my god, something has to be wrong with him. It's like it's like too good to be true type of thing. And then it's her and Gumball and Darwin are like trying to figure out what's the catch. It's like there's no way somebody this normal and like well functioning can like be friends with Anais. Which is kind of fucked up, but I'm like, we've done this before, sort of. But I like in The Parasite how it's like Anais believes she has a genuine friend, but like Gumball and Darwin kind of see through like her warped perspective of it. I feel like in this episode they're just harassing this guy for like no solid proof because of course it's not until the very end where it is revealed that he's like in the Illuminati or some shit like that, as if the foreshadowing wasn't obvious as hell with him wearing a pyramid on his head. But you know what? We can look past that. But I just think there is no reason for them to like mistreat Josh. They had reasons to mistreat Jody because they thought she was doing some bad shit. They have no reason to harass Josh. They're just doing it because they just feel like he needs to be harassed and he's just a victim to like everything. Yes, he's like actually crazy, but nothing he did would even hint at him being crazy besides like what he wears. But even then, it's like they didn't grasp that from that, you know? So it just feels like they're dogging on him for like no reason besides things are going too well, something must be wrong. It might be like Gumball's kind of pessimistic worldview, but I just think the situations they put Josh in, like kind of what Gumball sets up, is just kind of like I'm thinking specifically at the restaurant. I think we could have gotten the point across without the bit of racism, but it's like trying to make him like disrespectful to service workers or whatever. It's like you could have done it in a way that wasn't like that, but okay. And like the thing with him trying to get him to like say nasty things about strangers. Like obviously that's like what Gumball does in his spare time, but like obviously that's not who Josh is. It kind of just I know we as the audience are kind of led to assume that Gumball is being ridiculous in this. Is like why is he doing this? He's like not showing any signs of being like nasty. Except for like the only like truly memorable thing from this episode is the wallet sound thing, and I'm like, yeah, but it's just because I see like reels of it all the time. And I admit the whole like wallet thing is probably like the best thing out of like all the shenanigans they get into because of the stupid fucking meme it became, but it's also like specifically diabolical that like after Josh obviously crashes out on them and it's like, you know what, I don't want to be friends with you anymore because you are all crazy, like after he catches them trying to set him up. Gumball is trying to do some type of shit where he's like, let's take blackmail photos of him while he's showering and use it for that to get him to be Anais's friend again. It's like, my brother in Christ, why the hell do you think that's a good idea? And then Darwin's like, well, that's equally as wretched. Like, I don't think so. That's not really the same type of thing. I mean, besides like what he wears, it's like there's no like proof otherwise of him being actually crazy, which I guess is like a good way to like cover the tracks of like he didn't do anything like that they overlooked. So like the whole thing of him like worshiping the frogs is like not really out of left field, but it's like it's not the most impactful like revealing of intentions that I've seen. It's like, oh, he's like crazy. I wish, besides what he wears, I wish he did at least something to like foreshadow how he behaves at the end. Cause I feel like we needed something a bit more than just that, but maybe that's just me. So I do like this, but it's good. I just like the Parasite more. I just do. I just like the Parasite more because it did this concept a bit differently, but I think in a way that makes more sense than what they're doing here. Okay, because if we can do this plot again and like how we do it differently, I'm not quite sure if this was like the best approach. Okay, next we have the boredom. Okay, I'm telling you one thing right now. If they don't give a fuck about what's going on here, why should I? I understand completely that the concept of this is that they're bored and there's nothing to do or nothing interesting's going on. I don't care about anything that is happening here. My notes of this are sparse because it feels kind of like clip showy. It feels like in the vein of that where like it's not really focused on them specifically, but everyone else in the background, like these like small gags that they do. I don't care. They don't care. Why should I care? It's like not like, oh my god, this is terrible. Like it's not. Nothing. The thing is, it's not in hell because I'm like offended by what they decided to do. I just don't give a fuck, and I'm like, okay, that's even worse. If it's like make me feel something, like even all the little gags that they do in this episode, like nothing really is like, oh my god, I am so interested. Like obviously, I think the most memorable part of this is like Banana Joe with the lightsaber. It's like yeah, that's like cute, but like I don't care. I don't like moving on. The vision is a lot better. This is one of the most interesting episodes, I'd say, or like one that I think about quite often. I really like it. It's not like peak, but I really like it. Like it's great. It's great, obviously. But this is when I knew that it's like, oh, there's definitely kind of a tonal shift in like the types of stories that they're doing. This isn't even like hidden, sugar coated, meant to be taken another way. No, this is like the whole plot of this is Gumball and Darwin try to assassinate Alan because he thinks he's a totalitarian like fascist dictator that's like planning to take over the whole school and like send kids into like happy concentration camps, and I'm like it's not even subtle. Like that's what this is. It's like half of this episode is them like kind of like imagining what Alan wants to do as the class president as he like basically reads through his hard drive or whatever, and they envision like to like the most extreme degree what he could mean by that, and they envision him as like a dictator, someone that like manipulates people for his own gain and like has all these like promises that like are meant to help other people but really like kind of is like controlling and like harms them in the end anyway. So this is like I feel like in the night before, it kind of like hinted at Alan having like a more deranged side of him, but this episode is just a full throttle of that concept. Not even because of everything that they imagined him doing, it's the actuality of him making a second draft of his manifesto to, like, I was like, oh, I never meant any of that. You just misunderstood me. I'm not actually evil. I just want to make people feel better. But no, he actually feels that type of way. This episode is specifically to the where Gumball literally says like, if you had the power to stop the worst dictator the world has ever seen while he was still a kid, would you do it? It's basically the hypothetical of if you could kill Hitler when he was a child, would you do it to like prevent the suffering of everyone else? And I'm like, oh, they just said that, and that is what we are doing. And I'm like, okay. Because usually for, like, at least Gumball before, like, there would at least be some layer of, like, disbelief of, like, oh, they're not actually talking about that, are you? Are they? Because it's kind of like how sugar is, like, often used as, like, a stand-in for drugs. No, there's no way around this is that they're gonna, like, perform a political assassination on Alan because they think he's gonna kill everybody, and it's played pretty straight. Like once they like basically connect the dots of like he is going to destroy us all. And when Gumball says if the road to oblivion is paved with good intentions, then Alan is about to build a freeway, which is goddamn. They basically lock the fuck in afterwards, and like the way they frame the scenes of like them attempting to assassinate Alan, because they just say assassinate in this episode. Like Alan's like, so you can stop trying to assassinate me now. They can't. They haven't said kill or die up to this point, but they can say that. I still find that interesting. It's like, okay then, but I love like the intensity in which like the mood is set as like, so I'm thinking specifically when Gumball's in the air duct and he has like the thumbtack and he's about to like jump down the air vent and like pop Alan and like his head gets stuck in there. It's like the moments leading up to like the way it's like shot is just beautiful. Like I love the way all of this looks because it conveys the tone very well. And like when basically Darwin has a sniper and he's like trying to target like Alan through his like little peephole and he just can't really get there. I just think like all the different ways that they try to kill Alan, because this isn't even the first time that like they have popped Alan or like Gumball has popped Alan or anything like that. It's just the way that it's intentionally framed as like this is like a political assassination. I just can't get over like they just did that. Okay, because usually there's something to cover up the true message of what's going on, but there's just nothing. This is just literally how it is, and I'm like, okay. Because even the end, they do technically kill him in the end when Gumball is like, you shouldn't have said that when we were still in earshot, and he like pops Alan as he's about to write his next manifesto. I love this so much. Okay. Oh my god, next we have one of my absolute favorites. And I think it's everyone else's favorite, because if you don't like this episode, I don't know who you are, but the choices is obviously peak. Like, shut the when I watched this for this video, this was like the first time I like cried like while watching something. It's not like oh you might shed a few tears. No, this was like audible crying. Like they're in like the montage scene, fucking out like a light. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. This is like the one episode that will make me cry. There's like other episodes that make me cry, but it's like every single time I see this, it makes me cry. Because this is like one of the best written episodes they have. Like that's why it's so good, because the way this is done with like it takes itself seriously, but it like has enough like classic Gumball like edge for it to still feel like be funny and like feel like everything else. But the very intense question of what would my life be like if I took a different path? This none of this is like real technically. Like it's one of those episodes where like we are at a standstill in the present, but a character thinks about things that either has happened before or could have or might have happened. Because it's just Nicole standing in the kitchen as she reminisces on everything and makes up like different scenarios of what could have my life been like if I never met Richard. Because as she's about to pop a blood vessel, like, as everyone's like in her space, like making a mess, and she's about to pop off, and she's like, what is, and basically having the epiphany of what the hell am I doing with my life? The thing is, what I like about this is that it's not like a big tragedy that makes her question her life decisions. There's nothing profoundly terrible or thought provoking that happens that makes her think of this. It's the simple fact of she's making dinner and then everything goes wrong. It's like this has definitely happened before. She has experienced this type of thing before, but it's like the build up over time leading up to the one straw that broke her back. I like that. I like that a lot. Where she's like flashbacks to her childhood. Because this is like the first time we see her parents. And right out of the gate, we can see exactly what she inherited from her parents. Because she inherited her mom's perfectionism and drive to be the best. And she inherited her dad's anger. It's apparent right out of the gate, and I think that is great, where she is being driven to a karate contest, and since they're in a traffic jam, if she runs, she might be able to make it. So basically, as she is running to the tournament, and she thinks about, like, if I decided to run into anybody else but Richard, how would my life be like? It's like this episode is like half a hypothetical of like what could have happened, because it'll be later shown like what her encounter with Richard was actually like. But then she thinks about like, oh, what if I stopped for Banana Bob or Mr. Small or Mr. Wilson? It's like then she imagines like, well, maybe if I decide to choose it basically a different husband, maybe my life would be better. But in every situation, it's just ass. Like she's driven to insanity by Banana Bob, and Mr. Wilson makes her feel like shit, and honestly, her like burning their house down after he's like, this food is cold. Go get his ass, girl. I support female rage because it's like, yeah. I love Nicole in this episode. In like the reality that actually happened and in her hypotheticals. Like I support all her rights and wrongs. I love Nicole because she's such a badass character. She's just a bad bitch, and I love her so much because she's like strong, independent woman, and I love her. But in this episode, it makes me realize like how much she actually is. Because like if it was like she made it to her karate tournament, she would have like taken over the world. Because she like her like doing well in the tournament would have led her to be like the most ambitious and like driven person she could possibly be, where she like accidentally becomes a dictator. But she definitely got that Capricorn in her or some shit, because that's what it feels like. And even when like all her other like futures with these other men turn out to be shit, it's like honestly valid crash out on like every part because she doesn't deserve any of that. It also made me wonder, like specifically with like Mr. Wilson and Banana Bob, is like if this is how they would have treated Nicole, what does that say about their current lives? Well, we know Banana Barbara is matches Banana Bob's freak exactly, so maybe she's fine with it. But thinking about like Jackie Wilson, like, is she being treated like the same way that Nicole was in her dream? I fucking hope not. We are then led to the abundantly clear decision that Richard was the only right option. At least the only option that she would have been happy with. Because as she finds him in the woods and she misses her tournament, he's kind of like, I fucking love this so much, and like this is when I start crying, is when she sits with Richard after like accepting her defeat, that's like, oh, I missed the tournament. There's nothing I can do now that I've like lost this. And when Nicole asked him, what should I do with my life? And then Richard says, maybe start living it. That is the exact moment when I started bawling my eyes out because I'm like, oh my god. And then after that, the the motherfucking montage. I think we all know what's up, but this hurts. Not like it's sad. It's just like it's so cute that it makes me cry because it's like even though like your life isn't perfect, everything leading up to this point is just beautiful and worth it. And I'm like, oh my god. Because it feels like this like the opening scene from Up. You know, it feels like that. I think that's like what it's meant to feel like through a montage, like how these two people like grow together and like the life they build together. And I'm like, oh my god, it's like it's like sweet in such a normal way, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so adorable. And when she's like, you know what, I wouldn't change a thing, and I'm like, oh my god. That is not an unpopular opinion because I'm just like, oh my heart. It is so beautiful in just an ordinary way. And the way they chose to frame it and like convey that message is just so sweet. And the ending, when she decides to make the best of the situation with by having the food fight with her family, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's so cute. This is just the cutest thing ever. It's like kind of I think of it like in the same vein as like the origins. It's just adorable family stuff, and it's like, oh my god, they all love each other, and they're all happy with each other, even though it's not perfect. But you know what? The best things in life aren't technically perfect. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, next we have the code. I feel like I used to like this more, but I don't. I think my biggest like gripe about this is just the whole concept of nobody's able to function without the internet. But it's like not done in a way that I prefer. Because the concept, you know, of them getting kicked off of Mr. Robinson's Wi-Fi because that's what they've been using the whole time, which I like that part because they totally would do that. But they learn they can't function without the internet. Like I don't like it's I think like the way they decided to do this is just too cliche, honestly. Because the whole thing of like Gumball tapping the book thinking it's like a phone, it's like, why isn't it doing it? I'm tapping the book, but it's not doing anything. It's like, shut the fuck. We don't need that. Maybe it's because like I lived through that period of time when like you know like when smartphones were first coming out and shit like that, where it's like the phone bad, book good type like boomer comic core type shit, and I'm like, I understand like when this was made, it was more like that, like it was more in that time period that they were talking about it, but it's like I still don't like it. It's like surely we could have come up with a more interesting way than like I'm tapping the book, why isn't it doing anything? It's like, dude, enough. But the one thing I do like is kind of like how they make practical effects out of like what they usually do. Like they make cardboard cutouts of stuff and like basically play with arts and crafts trying to like emulate what it's like to be online. It's like okay, I understand that's like cute kids using imagination thing. Like I like that. Like I will say I do enjoy that. But I just think like this whole thing of them not being able to function without the internet, you know, and it's done in a way that's not necessarily like interesting to me. It's just like whatever. But like there's like bit like I don't like I must say I do like this episode. Like I do think it's like good, but it's just like compared to everything else, I'm just like it's not I don't care enough. Because obviously like the most memorable part is like when they're like in like the pixelated form and like they're trying to break into Mr. Robinson's house to get the Wi-Fi back, and it turns out that it's just in their imagination. They're just ransacking his house. It's like I understand that and I do like that sequence. It's just like I don't. It's fine. That's all I can really say. It's fine or whatever. I don't really have strong opinions about this, but it's fine. It's not terrible, it's just not what I'm particularly interested in, because I think, like, this could have been done a bit differently. But next, I knew just by, like, reading the summary on this, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like that because we get into Gumball's character more, and we fucking know how much I like that, judging by what I write. But the test is when Gumball realizes that he is the loser in his own world, and he wants to do something about it so he wouldn't be the loser anymore, because that's not who he wants to be. But by going against all of his natural urges, he ends up almost causing the end of the world because once his role has been replaced by Tobias in the grand sitcom of their lives, everything falls apart pretty much. This is just a weird episode, but I like it for that because I don't really think about this in this case as much, but kind of like how this episode kind of solidifies the life is a simulation type idea. Because literally, when Gumball tries to change a core aspect of his character to try to, like, shift his role in this story, it, like, affects the way, like, the universe is. Like, with the time jumping around, the continuity errors, the shit just happening randomly. It's like, yes, this is technically a part of that larger picture of if something deviates too far from the norm, shit's gonna go south. I'm thinking of The Job from season 2, because when Richard tries to better himself in a way that would be like out of quote unquote out of character for him, as in getting a job, it causes the fabric of the universe to rip apart. And I would argue in this episode, it's like that, but to a smaller degree, because once Gumball tries to change a part of himself that's like integral to most of these plot lines, which is being a loser and being an asshole, is they're both in the same picture. But when he tries to change that about himself to, like, basically get what he wants but also be a better person, it affects the way the universe operates because shit starts happening when he decides to do something else. So I think that's quite interesting, actually. And this is another instance of Sarah also being aware of the state of the universe, because Sarah being a part of this episode, and it's not necessarily a Sarah episode, I would say. Not like what the comic or the fan or even the shipping would kind of do. I think, but the role that she serves in this episode specifically, I really like that they decided to go with this because she calls the world like the grand sitcom of our lives. And everyone thinks she's being crazy, but once life start actually acting like that, they realize, oh, wait, she's right. So she kind of sees reality, just in general, as like a TV show. And I think that is why she is so self aware of her own existence. Because she is like, it's not in this episode, it's in another episode here that I'll talk about later, but she's kind of aware of her own obsessiveness, where she's like, I'm like the anime obsessed fangirl that stalks the loser, which is totally true. This makes me wonder if Sarah plays up this obsessive persona in order to adhere to her pre-established role in this world versus what she actually feels like. I don't know, is that a stretch? I don't know, but that's what I might consider to think. And it's also like Darwin's also like comfortable with his position of being like the lovable sidekick of the loser. And I'm thinking we have a whole sidekick. We have a whole fucking episode of he don't like being called a sidekick. But I guess this like kind of solidifies that like them making up at the end of that episode actually does have lasting effects, because now he's like okay with being the sidekick as long as he can be his own person type of thing. I think this episode is just fucked in a way that I didn't remember. Because the whole thing of Gumball swallowing his inhibitions like manifests as a physical sickness that is literally slowly killing him from the inside out. And his body's like actively decaying as this happens, but he won't do anything about it because he technically got what he wanted in being more popular and people thinking he's more pleasant to be around. So it's like he basically sacrifices his own well-being in order to appease other people while also trying to make himself feel good because he feels like this is what I should want, okay? I want everyone to like me. I want this type of like approval. Like, oh, you're so much nicer to talk to now that you're not being a bitch all the time. It's like, yeah. But in Gumball Soul, he's an asshole at heart, and in him and not being an asshole affects the balance of things. But I thought like the choice to have literally him repressing his gumballisms, as Darwin calls them, as he represses his gumballisms, it acts like a virus as he swallows the bile that builds up inside him like it's a physical entity, and it just eats him alive to the point where he's fallen apart. Like, was that a piece of my tongue or a piece of meat stuck in my teeth? It's like, oh, I think that it is. First, it's fucked that that happened anyway, but it's also fucked that Gumball doesn't really seem to care about it. Or he, like, plays it off as, like, oh, it's not that bad because I got what I want. It's like, he is so desperate to be liked by other people that he'd fucking die for it. And I think that is a very interesting thing for his character. And another interesting thing is through this pretty much the entire time, okay, when he's like trying to suppress the gumballisms and allowing himself to decay to such a point where he's barely a person anymore. It doesn't matter if, like, Tobias replaced him in his family or, like, the weird things that happen in the world. None of that really sets him off to the degree where he would, like, do something about it. But what does set him off is when Tobias took Penny from him. Because if Sarah didn't jinx their asses and was like, yeah, but what if it was all a dream? Gumball would have chewed out Tobias's ass right there because he took Penny from him. Because as a result of Tobias taking his place, he's taken Penny with him, which is what he wanted all along, but Gumball is about to throw it down right there because of that, and I think that is adorable to a pinball shipper such as myself, where it's like, oh, Penny, it's basically Penny is his breaking point, which I thought was interesting in this episode. It's like, all this other shit can happen, but the one time he's actually about to snap, it's because of Penny. He's like, no, no, not Penny. Tobias, you. It's like, yeah. That whole thing of, like, Sarah, like, being so adamant, like, get his ass, get his ass, get his ass, as he's, like, about to, like, throw venom at him, but she, like, accidentally drinks them. I must say, this might be one of my favorite Sarah appearances. Because I just absolutely love what she adds to this plot and, like, the way she acts. Because, yes, she still, like, has her creepy flair to her. But this, in an episode that I will talk about later, where Sarah is very much working with Gumball and Darwin to get towards a common goal. First, this is, like, probably the most she's like me for real type thing when Sarah is actively crashing out about, like, the continuity of the things that happen being messed up. She's like, oh, that's a continuity error of the way his hairstyle changed between the scenes. And the scene I absolutely love the most is, like, when she is about to beat Tobias with a baseball bat. And then Darwin's, like, physically restraining her. He's like, come on, no, we can't do this. But then Sarah's like, but the continuity. She's, like, fully crashing out and about to kill Tobias. Because, like, the continuity of her story is just fucked up. That is the way I act in every single one of these videos that I film. And I'm like, dude, she's so like me. I think that's why, like, when I was younger, I, like, attached myself to her, because I'm like, she's like me for real. It's like, in this specific episode, more than anything, it's like, yeah. I do that on a daily fucking basis, actually. So kind of, like, the extra motivation of Sarah caring about this situation so much that she basically gives Gumball the permission to blow Tobias's face off, and that's not even an exaggeration, because the way they chose to end this is just so fucked. It is so fucked, and I absolutely love it. Because when she accidentally jinxes them, thinking that it's all a dream, and then they wake up to Tobias in the hospital, Gumball's about to bust because he's been holding all this inside him for, like, the entire time. And then when Tobias makes a bad joke or a bad comment, and then Sarah's just like, do it. And then Gumball just shoots acid out of his mouth and just melts Tobias's face off. And then when Sarah's like, I would say in your face if you had one. I think that's my favorite like Sarah line right there. This is so fucked, but I love it so much cuz it's like I feel like the build up to this moment is apropos because of all the shit that has happened because of Tobias. Because is it Tobias's fault that he's such a cringe fail that he is breaking apart the fabric of the universe because he's like not meant to serve this type of role? The thing is, it's interesting because the only role that Tobias was supposed to serve was like the loser role. Obviously, that's the position he took up. He can't even do that, right? He's already a fucking loser, but he's like a loser in a more unique sense where it's like he's just a flop. There's a difference between like a loser and a flop, and Tobias is a flop, okay? He's so much of a flop that he can't even play a convincing loser when he already is a loser. He's just more of a loser than Gumball is. And I kind of think maybe that's what they were going at is Tobias is on loser shit that Gumball is not on. Cause he's so much of a loser that he's not even likable. Cause the thing is Gumball is likable to like other people and like in this series in general. Like he's like the double-sided coin. It's like he's extremely toxic, but he's also really charming. Tobias doesn't have that. He's just toxic and annoying, and that's why I love him as a character, but like in the way of the universe, like that's not what he's supposed to do. Cause the fact that we got Gumball, Darwin, Tobias, and Sarah like all in this episode, I'm like, we got all my favorite characters up in here. So I'm like, obviously that would be so much fun. This is great. I will say that much. It's not peak, like it's just not peak to me, but I just really like what we got going on here. Okay, next we have the slide, which is Rocky tries to go on Hinge and it doesn't work. We don't get a lot of Rocky episodes. I'm think maybe like The Boss, I think, is like the only other one like where Rocky is like considered to be like the main character alongside Gumball and Darwin, where he sees this girl at the mall and he's like, I want to find her because I'm like so in love with her and I'm lonely, so please help me find my baddie girlfriend or whatever. Like they're playing computer games in the library, which I think is like a fine way to like introduce it. But the whole concept of like Gumball and Darwin like helping this grown man like find this random woman that he saw at the mall as like I'm like, sure. I mean, it's Rocky. I mean, it's fine. It's not that weird, but I'm like, okay. But what I think was weird that I think is kind of overlooked is like Darwin's like, I can be your girlfriend in the video game so you can like have a girlfriend. And I'm like, thanks for the thought, bud, but that's kind of weird. So, like, obviously, this episode's like a commentary on like dating apps and like dating culture, which I've never touched a dating app with a 10-foot pole, so it's like, I don't know if this is like accurate or not, but I'm like, sure. I think it's for the best. I don't know what that's like, because I'm like, that sounds like horrible. Interesting. Like, are they like qualified to give Rocky like dating advice? Like, the thing is, you would think Gumball would be like more like helpful in this situation, considering that he has a girlfriend. Gumball's able to pull once. I think he can help someone else pull, if you kind of know what I mean. So it's like what it's not like he was like either of them were being like useless in like their attempts to like have Rocky like be able to text women. It's more like it's all Rocky's fault. Like he can't text women to save his life, and his like aura is just concerning. It's like you look like you like stabbing people in the woods by based on that picture. And I'm like, okay. So I think like Rocky being like a hopeless romantic, like I don't mind that for him. Like I can see it for him. But the one thing that's kind of holding me back from being like, oh my god, this is like great, is the third act, okay? Find when they're going to like find this woman that he saw, and they'll do like anything to like be able to track her down, and like they're willing to do like heinous things to like do this, like, like go through her medical records and shit. And like no matter what they want to do or who they propose it to, like, but it's in the name of love. And they're like, well, if it's in the name of love, then it's okay. I understand what they were doing with that, but I just don't really like it because it's like, okay. I don't know, it just didn't do anything for me. Like, if it's in the name of love, then sure. It's like, yeah, but I just don't prefer that how that was written. And it takes up like a majority of like the third act, so I'm like, it's like surely there's gotta be another way to like write that that's like makes a bit more sense than everyone just blindly agreeing with whatever bullshit they're gonna do. I'm like, okay. But when they finally meet her, Birdie, I have just realized that I called Bridie is actually her name. Now that I'm looking at the way it's spelled in my notes, I'm like, her name isn't Birdie, it's Bridie. I think Rocky says like Bridie. I called her. This is like after I recorded that whole segment, and I'm like, I fucked up. Okay. And he's like, oh, I saw you at the mall, and I knew it was love at first sight, so I had to find you. I did all this shit to like get to you. So does that prove my loyalty to you, or some shit like that? And she's like, oh, that's illegal and terrible and you're creepy. Get the fuck out of my house. I support her. I support Birdie. She is not she doesn't need any of this. She beat his ass, beat all of them up. I don't care. Like you don't deserve this cuz imagine having this creepy guy that like you barely saw once trying to track you down because they were so like in love with you at first sight, and it's like they low-key won't leave you alone, and she's like, you're being so weird, get the fuck away from me. And then he's like, oh. So I think it's good for society that Rocky never got the girl in the end, and he's just like back playing games with Gumball and Darwin. It's like, yeah, like I'm actually okay with that. Like, oh, but he didn't get the girl in the end. Like, for Birdie's sake, I'm fucking glad they didn't get together because like she was so not into all of that, and I'm like, girl, I understand. Because if that happened to me, I feel the same damn way. So I understand her. But besides that, it's like, I like this, but not enough. Anyway, next, we have the loophole. This is an interesting one. Because this is kind of a weird one for me because I'm like, I really am not sure how to feel about it. Like, the base of this is kind of cool, but the way it's done, I'm like, because this is a Bobbert episode where Gumball and Darwin realize, like, how naturally dangerous he is. But this is the one thing that threw me off when Gumball is like, Bobbert's a potential killing machine. That's the first time he said it. Killin'. That's the first time he said it in this entire fucking show. This is the first time he actually said the damn thing, and I'm like, what? I forgot that happened. Besides, like this, like now you can say it. Okay. But this whole thing of like they realize how dangerous Bobber is to society, so they like try to do everything in their power to like program him to like not be harmful. And like the whole scene of like Bobber repeatedly beating up Gumball because he like misinterprets Darwin's request is like it's like okay. That's kind of Gumball getting beat up 5 times in a row, but I guess I guess it is what it is. But I specifically liked it when it's like, oh, I got knocked into next year, and it's like the opening scene of the spoiler. I kind of love that. And I'm like, that is so good. It's like, I feel like we've done something similar to like, they're trying to get Bobbert to not act the way he does, and like, by trying to program him to be better, he's actually just causing more damage than like he would if he was left alone, question mark. I'm not really sure because Bobber kind like the whole like reason for this episode is like they basically pose the question of humanity is like a virus to the earth, so by when you say save every living thing at any cost, Bobbert's like, we have to kill everybody because humanity is the reason why the earth is suffering. And then obviously they're like, please don't nuke the entire planet, Bobber. That is not right. It's like, it's that type of like paradox of like, do you save the world or do you save humanity? It's like because humanity has done so much damage on the natural world that by if humans went extinct, the planet would be better off because there's nothing to destroy it. So when Bobbert like makes that decision, he's like, let's build a nuclear bomb or whatever. Because Bobbert is like fully prepared to do this with like parts by following it's mostly because he like follows Darwin's advice, like don't hurt anyone or anything at any cost. It's kind of like what is the extent in which we can do something like that before it involves annihilation? It's like this is quite the concept for this episode. For some reason, I'm like I want to like this more than I do because I like the fact that we're talking about this and like the whole conclusion of like life is one big contradiction full of like nuance and stuff, which is why Bobbert taking everything too literally doesn't work because life isn't meant to be lived in black and white like that. Like that's kind of like a theme of like the stories that Bobbert gets involved in is that he just is on a different level from everyone else because he is not programmed to think the same. So what everyone thinks is common sense is actually not to him because he only realizes let's not blow up the whole earth is because he is like when Gumball's like don't you can't if humanity is a virus then you can't kill us because protecting life includes protecting the viruses. And then he's like, oh wait, shit. And that's when he stops. It's like I actually think that's like an interesting way to do it. It's kind of like say it in a way he'd understand. But this is just a weird one where it's like kind of like the way they write Bobbert is like really cold. Bobbert's fully right just to nuke everybody. It's like I feel like he cares more about other people than they write him to be here. Because I feel like in other episodes, like he is able to feel like sadness and stuff, and like he can be affected by the things that people say to him. So surely he has more like nuance than like let's blow this place up. Because surely he knows that involves like destroying like everything he knows, right? Like he's like part robot, but part of him is like also like rooted in human emotions, as has been shown in like other episodes. And I'm just like, is did it need to get to the point where Gumball and Darwin had to confront him on the literal basis of you can't kill a virus, rather than don't you see that what you're doing is wrong type of thing? It's like I like what this presents and I like what this is doing, but I just feel like it's not quite right for me. I do like it. I really do like it. It's just this is a bit of a weird one where it's like I'm not really sure what to feel about it. Okay, next we have the fuss. Ah, this shit kind of pisses me off, I'm not gonna lie. Not because I think it's like, oh my god, it's so bad, or like, it's so stupid, like, what are we doing? It doesn't necessarily piss me off in that aspect, which is why there's no hell tier today, but this shit just pisses me off by the fact that the way Nicole acts just pisses me off, like, personally. The thing is Nicole being this type of person that, like, is extremely passive aggressive and, like, is playing, like, mind and emotional games on people? It's like, oh, I'm not mad, nothing to worry about, but I'm not gonna communicate my actual feelings to you because I'm gonna be passive aggressive and not straightforward about it. And because I'm not being clear in my emotions, it's making y'all stress out unnecessarily when me just telling you what's wrong will really just solve this all because communication is the key to everything. It's like, would she do that? Yeah, she would. Because I think this episode is being like it shows Nicole's character flaws and she can be too petty, too passive aggressive, and like all that. And the whole thing of like her having trouble admitting that she was wrong, I do like that because like she needs to do that sometimes. But the reason why this pisses me off is just because I personally can't stand people like this. Because it's just my nature personally that I just say what I mean and I don't fuck like that where it's like I don't like if I want something I will tell you. I'm not going to pretend to like feel a certain way just to try to get you to figure out what I'm feeling. It's like you should know what I feel. I shouldn't have to tell you. It's like no, be upfront, motherfucker. Please. I just can't stand people like that in like real life, so this just pisses me off specifically because I'm like, get to the point. It's like just tell them what's going on. So I know that's like the easy solution of like then there would be no plot if it was that easy to fix. It's like, well, too bad. That's the way I feel. It's like, girl, get over yourself. It's like, especially like the whole scene of her like outside in the yard with Gumball as she's like saying like, oh, people never really say what they mean. And like there's like the subtitles to like everything that she says. And then when she says, oh, it'll be you're okay, sweetie. And then when she walks away and then it says like, may the universe have mercy on your soul or something. That's like, girl, get a fucking grip. I swear to God. And it just kind of like the thing is, it just stresses everybody out for no reason because obviously this all ends up in like she had the calendar upside down, so she thought it was like the wrong day, and she blew up on everybody for like nothing because it was never their anniversary. It's just some random day, and I'm like, even Richard fucking knew that it wasn't their anniversary because he's like, I don't know what's so special about October 11th. It's like, is her perception of time really that fucked that like this one calendar in the kitchen is like dictating everything? Because even Anais is like, did you ever wonder why we went on summer vacation in winter or whatever? And I'm like, she can't be that stupid. Like, surely, like, if there's a clock on her phone or her computer that she can like see what, it's like, it's too hard to believe. It's like, straight up, I don't like this because like, how the fuck am I supposed to believe that when it's such like a stupid thing to do? It's like there are other means to check the date, and even Richard knew that it wasn't the date you thought it was. So like what are we doing with this? Where it's like then she has to like stop Richard from like getting the tattoo on his ass because she was wrong about it. I do like how she was like able to admit that she was wrong, like they're make better of the situation, like that's good. But I just don't I no, it just frustrates me in a way that I don't enjoy. Because first, I don't like people like that. Second of all, the actual circumstance was just dumb as shit for no reason. It's like, oh, the calendar was backwards. It's like, okay. Okay, next. Oh my god. One of the classics. One of the classics indeed, because we have the copycats. Oh my god, I always love this episode. When this came out, I knew this was heat because even before like this came out, I was interested in the Miracle Star Gumball bootleg show, okay? I watched like YouTube videos about people talking about that, and I was interested in the fact that they're just this that it existed, and it was like an interest of mine. And then this comes along, which is a direct dig at that. It's this was major then, it is still major now because how the fuck does this exist? Like, I'm just thinking, because back then, this was like never been done before type shit when like they canonically address like bootlegs of things, okay? Because I think it's usually like most things that like everything is a fucking bootleg, obviously. But it's like to like formally acknowledge it in a way that's like not suing their ass that I don't think we've seen then or really since. I think this is the only like let me know if there's other examples from other shows or something where they acknowledge like bootlegs this explicitly because there's just a dark energy about this episode, which is why I like love it so much. This is just fucked. I think when I was younger, I didn't really understand how fucked this actually is, but it's like it was weirdly shocking like looking back at this cuz it's been like a few years since I've like seen this one, but they find their doppelgangers in the store and they're like freaked out about it. They're like, "Oh my god, who the hell do they think they are?" Cuz they just think of them as like kind of annoying until they see like the videos they make of like them ripping off everything they do. Which they made the direct comparison to like the actual Miracle Star clip that's supposed to mirror the opening scene of the DVD. That one. Like they did that as like the first example. Because as this episode progresses, it just makes you think, oh, they're not fucking around, are they? Because the kind of the malice that just radiates off of this is just like, Oh my god. Because at first they think it's all like kind of weird, but it's like not that bad. Because when they're like they think it's just kind of funny. Like when they're like reading the character bios on their website. I think the specific bit with them like thinking that the broken English is funny is like I find that amusing in like a weird way. While this is happening and everyone is still laughing and it's all well and good. But Anais realizes that she is not included in here because quote, woman no right to celebrate in Republic of People because Miracle Star canonically doesn't have an Anais like character because I think in China you can only have two children, like legally. I don't know if that is still a thing, but I know it has at some point, enough for them to bring it up. Because the only thing missing from this is an Anais replacement. There is no little sister character. And Anais is like properly offended at this. She's like, what the fuck do you mean? It's like, obviously she thinks that, like, and we will then learn later that Anais is like the key to all this, which is I think is an absolutely beautiful writing decision. When they go to confront them and they realize like we can't do this because no matter what we do, they're just gonna copy us. It like, if we try to fight them, it's no use. They realize kind of like the impossibility of defeat in them because it's like, no matter what they do, they won't let up. And even like the song they do. I think one of the most iconic songs is Be Your Own You, Be Your Own You, Get the Fuck Out of My Face with this. It's like, yeah. I think the specific way that Darwin said what you are doing is straight up criminal. It's like the way he says it and the look on his face is just like, it just radiates such a bitter hatred. Not from the character himself, just the people that wrote this. Like, the people that wrote this, I think this is done with such venom in like an almost passive aggressive way but this is played almost completely straight of fuck off. Because while they like try to be like quote unquote nice about it by just like be your own person, like stop copying us, like what are you doing? And they even say like isn't imitation the sincerest form of flattery or whatever. Whatever Anais says. It's like they do consider that. They consider like letting them off easy with like, oh I guess it is flattering to be like copied, right? We gotta be pretty great to do that. And the whole thing of like like trying to give them a second chance and like pursuing a different life, but when they realize, oh, there's no way that they're gonna let up because they just do the same to us in their universe. Because in the bootleg universe, the Gumball family is the bootlegs. It's like you see like the obvious paradox there that there's like two separate realities going on or whatever. Kind of like where we fully go off the cliff is when Anais comes up with the idea of
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
I don't think we should kill this motherfucker.
just straight up, what if we lived our lives as dangerously as possible and hope they off themselves in the process? So Anais is the one that's actually out for blood, where she's like, what if we drive them to suicide? Ever considered that? And then Gumball's like, oh yeah. I just think that they're like, let's just kill them. And there's no sugarcoating it, because it's not even subtle. Because even if she doesn't say, hope they kill themselves, her saying hope they off themselves in the process is like the same fucking thing. This is why like I hate like the word like unalive. You'll never hear me say that unironically. Like unalive is like way to get around like censorship. First, that's fucking stupid. It's like you can say you think you can off your they can go off themselves and it like gets the point across with to like the same degree without sounding fucking stupid. So it's like if in a kid show they can say someone can go off themselves, it's like you can say it on the internet. Get a fucking grip. Anyway, but I think that is just extremely fucked that Anais is like, let's kill him. Because they instantly lock the fuck into doing just that. Because all the different, like, scenarios that they involve themselves with, like Gumball putting the bomb on his alarm clock, Richard, like, almost drowning himself in the tub, like, driving recklessly, stuff like that. It's like, it is clear that, like, we're going full throttle in on this. This is why, like, this is not even subtle. Because they're literally trying to kill themselves if it means that these guys will go away. But no matter what they do, it's like they just won't let up. And you can like feel the suspense of this. It's like, oh, is something actually gonna happen? And when they realize, have we gone too far? When they're like driving the gas truck with the gas pouring out and everything's gonna blow up, like if they don't make out of this, it's basically all gonna blow up if they don't find a way out of this, because once they realize we may have gone too far and now there's no escape, and we're gonna fall off a cliff and we are all gonna die. Like, bootlegs are gonna die and we are gonna die. So, what are we supposed to do? But this is probably my favorite part of this entire thing, is when Anais is the one that, like, crawls under the truck and, like, unlatches the trailer so like they're able to like avoid the explosion, as in like, I saved the day and we're not gonna die. But since that other family decided not to have a little sister, basically nobody in my place that could do what I did for them. So they're just gonna die. As in like girl power, don't erase the female character type thing, because Anais literally saves everybody. And when she says, I guess they should have kept the little sister, as the other truck is like falling off a cliff and like blows up, and they're like, oh my, that is so fucked, but I absolutely adore the way they incorporated Anais in the story. Okay, next we have the potato. I feel a lot of certain ways about this, but this is just weird as hell. I just think now I'm just like, what is even going on here? Because this honestly confuses me more than like I think anything else on this list. Like what's the vision? What are we doing? What am I supposed to believe? But this episode confuses me because, like, I feel like it wants us to take it seriously to some extent, but I just can't. Because this whole thing of them treating Darwin's potato addiction as in, like, a drug addiction, and it's played almost straight as that, because it is extremely apparent that that's the lens they're taking this at, where it's like, they basically treat trying to have Darwin stop eating potatoes as in like him going through like drug withdrawals, because the whole specific scene of them in the classroom as Gumball's gathering up all the potato items and Darwin's like, I don't know, is there any more, as he has like one hiding underneath his desk. And the whole thing about him going through like the 5 stages of grief or whatever, like as he's like trying to like actually give this a good go, like the basically the mood swings he goes through. And I would argue even the sincerity in which Gumball is like helping him, because when he's like, when he catches him with the potato he was trying to smuggle, Gumball's like, oh, I like, it's okay, dude, I understand this is hard for you. Like, Gumball is not even like being toxic towards Darwin necessarily. Like, he genuinely wants to help him because he fully believes that Idaho doesn't like Darwin eating potatoes in front of him. And there, I think this is so well done in this aspect where you, from the scene in which it happens, you can't really tell that Idaho's like offended by the potato nickname. He just leaves when Gumball shows up. But if like, it's a little bit not, it's not undetectable, but it's like not as obvious. Because you think that maybe Idaho has left after he's seen everything that, like, Darwin, like, mashing up his potato, and he just had enough of that, and Gumball just showing up just kind of was, like, tipped him over the edge. But he just left simply because Gumball showed up. It's like, it's hard, it was honestly hard to detect, like where the switch up was going to be, which makes the reveal at the end a lot more like believable, because it's like, oh, that's where it was. It wasn't like, because I think we are led to believe that Idaho is actually offended at this for like most of the time, because it is believable in the way they chose to write that scene. But once we say, oh, I was offended by the nickname, not Darwin eating potatoes, it's like, oh, we can also see that. So you can kind of see it in both angles pretty convincingly, which I enjoy. But I feel like this episode is being kind of like Darwin is going through with like drug withdrawals or whatever. I think using potatoes as the cover up, I don't think it quite works. If the thing is, I'm not sure. This is why I'm confused. I'm not sure if they want me to take this seriously or not. Because there's like, it's not that it's not in character for Darwin to be addicted to potatoes. If does it feel kind of random? Yes, and that's my kind of like since when kind of thing. Like since when is Darwin like obsessed with potatoes? I would even argue, why is Darwin eating a specific food item like he has never been like food obsessed or whatever. So I'm like, why is this such a big issue for him? Like, yes, potatoes are great, and they're great to eat in many different ways and all that. Like, everyone likes potatoes, like, everyone likes chips and fries and stuff like that. So it's like, I understand that. But for his character specifically, to where it makes him act in such a way that it's like, it feels like he's like having withdrawals from crack or something. It's like, uh, if it was sugar, I would argue, if it was sugar, then I would believe it. Because sugar can be just as addictive as anything else because it like hits the same chemicals in your brain. I would argue if they're trying to wean Darwin off of sugar, that would be more believable because sugar has been a stand-in for drugs in other episodes. So that is fine. But potatoes, I don't know. I know it's to get Idaho in the plot and to like have like a third person in here as the person being affected. And since Idaho is their friend, of course they're gonna try to like make him not offended. I just think the fact that this is revolved around potatoes just makes me not want to take it as seriously as I would otherwise like to. I'm not saying that this episode is like completely serious or like should be completely serious, because at the end of the day, it's like how serious can we realistically take a Gumball episode? I feel like with the amount of scenes that kind of hammer in the this is supposed to be what drug withdrawals feel like. I'm like, I feel like they should have chose a better subject. Because even the scene of like the therapy session, let me get it. The therapy session, okay? Where Sarah, this is the other Sarah episode. Like it's not like a Sarah episode, but she like plays a role in this where it's like she's trying to help Darwin like recover from the potato addiction. This is I don't mind Sarah here. I just don't know why she is here. Because usually she shows up when, like, the plots kind of would lend to her strengths, kind of like in the test. Like, I like the test more than this because, like, the reason why she is there is because she is invested in the idea of things being in TV, like TV stories and stuff like that. Like, she's all about stories and, like, the roles people play in stories and stuff like that makes sense, and she's also aware of the state of the world. Her in that episode makes sense because it lends to her previous interests and like strengths in stories, okay? Where her being there would like help advance the plot in a way that makes sense. Here, I don't know why she's here. Because this kind of like the combo of like Gumball, Darwin, Sarah, and Idaho is like, that's kind of a weird pairing of characters. But Sarah is trying to like help. And of course, the way she's introduced is like, she was overhearing this conversation. She like has an idea of what she wants to do, because specifically the most interesting part about her in this episode is her being like self-aware of her obsessive personality, because she admits that she goes to therapy with Mr. Small to help cure her obsessive personality, even though it doesn't really seem to help because she's then become obsessed about going to the therapy. I find that really interesting that she's like, I think Sarah is more self-aware of herself than we might be led to believe, because we think, oh, she's just oblivious and like manic because she's so obsessed with many different things that she's like being delusional or whatever. I think she's more aware of her own existence than like we might otherwise think, because she is aware of her own obsessiveness. I low-key have a headcanon, like, after watching this episode specifically, that Sarah might be, like, autistic coded. Hear me out, because when she was, like, listing off the things that she was, like, obsessed with, like, I like comics, and movies, and Gumball and Darwin, and fan art, and Gumball and Darwin, when she was, like, doing all that, and she also said making lists about things I'm obsessed with. So I'm like, is girl just autistic? Like, she just has her special interests, I suppose, and then she's obsessed with making lists about them. It's like, that would make a lot of sense if she was, like, autistic. Just putting it out there. I think that would be very interesting for her character, and I would kind of like that to be expanded upon if we are going in that direction. But I just thought that was kind of autistic coded, and I like really like that for her. I don't know why she's here otherwise, because like the entire this is what I don't understand is like the whole thing of Sarah trying to convince Gumball that Idaho going to see Darwin when he's like in withdrawal mode is a bad idea because Sarah is completely convinced that Darwin is going to try to eat Idaho because he's been withdrawn from this for so long. And Gumball doesn't see the issue in that. And Sarah like desperately tries to explain through like an entire scene why this is a bad idea, only for Gumball to come to his own conclusion after the fact, like independently, and then she's just pissed off that he wouldn't listen to her. Cause like there's like this weird I think it's kinda weird and I'm not really sure what they were necessarily doing with this. But the whole thing of like Gumball just doesn't get it. In the vein of like he doesn't understand what Sarah is trying to convey. Like if I nod my head and look like I'm paying attention, then it looks like I understand everything she's saying, even though I don't know what's going on. It's like I know he's kind of dumb, okay, but like, and then Sarah's like, I heard you say that out loud, because basically whatever Gumball thinks is he accidentally says out loud, and I'm like, why is he this dense? I don't really know. At least not enough to like for a throwaway joke, sure, but there was literally a whole scene about this, and I feel like what are we doing with that? But what I specifically don't know if I missed the joke. I could have just missed the fucking joke. I'm not really sure. But the whole thing at the end when Sarah's like, "Oh, he wasn't offended at the potato thing. He was offended at the brotato thing," or something to that effect, and everyone laughs at the joke she made, and then Gumball's like, "Just laugh with them, and they'll think you understand." As in, like, he didn't get the joke, but he's gonna laugh anyway because he would feel awkward not to. And then they're like, I'm just gonna pretend like I didn't hear that, right? Right. It's like I don't understand necessarily why Darwin and Sarah reacted the way they did, as in kind of like, oh, look at him. What the fuck is he doing? Like, you don't understand our joke? You're such a weirdo. They kind of do it in a way that has a bit of a, kind of like a bit of an, like, it's kind of like a, ugh, kind of way. And I'm like, why? First, why doesn't Gumball understand that? It's like so easy to understand what she said. But also, like, why are they like eyeing him so much because of this? It's like he said something offensive, but he didn't. It's like I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear that. Like, oh my god. It's like, what did he say specifically that made you act like that? If anything, they should have been like, huh? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean you didn't get that joke or something like that? Like, I feel like that would have been like a more natural response. Like, oh, look at him. He's such a weirdo. So the way they ended it is like, I understand why that like, Idaho being offended at the nickname. Like, that makes a lot of sense. I understand. But the whole thing of like how they chose to have Gumball catch one more stray in the last 5 seconds was like, I don't know. I will say like probably the particular scene that makes me wonder, am I supposed to take the whole drug withdrawal theme seriously or not? Because the way they were in like the therapy session with Mr. Small, and then Darwin realizes that Mr. Small was lying about being a vegetarian because he sees his meat stash, and it causes basically Mr. Small to relapse, kind of, I suppose, if he was at least attempting to get off of eating meat. He's like, I can't help it, I just can't stop eating it. It's like, and then Darwin's like, well, then I guess none of this matters. I'm gonna eat the potato. Like, the specific intensity that they made him, like, eating the potato in front of them after, like, no, you made so much progress, don't do it. Don't. Basically, them Gumball and Sarah begging Darwin not to relapse. And I'm like, it's like, I can't help it. This is just who I am. And he's like crying as he does it. And then when he bites it and like starts seeing like Canadian South Park potato head people singing a song about why he shouldn't eat potatoes. And then he like falls to the ground with like foaming at the mouth, like he like overdosed on it or something. And then they're like, oh man. And I'm like, am I supposed to take this seriously? Because this feels like very loaded. But I just can't take the potato thing seriously. Especially with the song, with the potato head people doing all that. And I'm like, I'm just confused. I'm confused of the tone, specifically. Like, what's the tone we're supposed to capture here? Because I'm not really sure. It's like, I'm not saying we can't have some nuance and like let's have some fun, but also like play it straight. But I feel like this just doesn't know what it wants to do. This honestly fascinates me so much that I'm gonna put it like near the top of good. Okay, next we have The Outside, which actually really surprised. I love this so much. Like, I would say that I'm not like episodes about like Richard's extended family, or I would even argue Nicole's extended family, not always interest me. So the fact that Frankie is in this episode is not so much why I like this so much, but the fact that he is the victim here of the torture chamber that they're gonna put him through is, I just think this is just entertaining, very much so. Because I think the jokes in this episode specifically are just very sharp. Like, this is when I was like fully realized, like, oh, this is definitely a pattern. Because I would argue, even just like from the beginning to like where they're like in his trailer, like in the dump, and like the little jokes that they make when Annalise is like, or sell one of us, or like Nicole saying 26 including you. And it's like I like small like snappy jokes like that. It's like it's not like a whole thing. It's just something that someone says quickly or like kind of says under their breath. That's just like, oh my god. But they basically decide that the reason why Frankie, like, can't function in the real world is because he's been in prison for so long that he, like, doesn't know what to do with himself now that he's, like, out of the outside. And so they want him to, like, come to their house, but they, like, turn their house into a prison with full intention of making Frankie feel more comfortable, but they're just actively torturing him the entire time. Because the whole thing of like this is played so straight because nobody here is like fucking around when they're like taking their roles so seriously. Like Anais being like the owner of the prison, like Nicole being like the guard in charge, like Richard, Gumball, and Darwin being like the inmates. Well, the thing is, Richard's the only one that like acts normal because he's like genuinely like likes to spend time with his dad, and he's like always want to be near him, like, oh, I'm so happy you're here. It's like I don't know if Richard just didn't catch the drift or he just doesn't care, but he's the only one that acts normal while like everyone else takes their roles to such an extreme that it's like funny in how like over the top everything is, and then Frankie's just crying like the entire time. He's like, why are you doing this to me? It's like I just, something about that I really enjoy, like specifically Darwin just going full throttle on it and just being a psychopath, and I'm like, did they tell him to lock in that hard or what? Because like Darwin is portrayed as like the most menacing person there because he's like the silent, scary type, and you will like eat somebody's face at no notice, and I'm like, did anyone tell him to do that, or did he just decide to do that? But I think that is very funny. But when Frankie's like having a breakdown and like they have like and it's like wants to leave, and then they gather in the circle and Nicole's like, we're absolutely nailing it, like good job everybody. So it's like it's a good family bonded activity to have it out for this one guy specifically, I suppose, because they're all doing this as a team. This is just chaos, this is just kind of chaotic, and I'm like, I just love seeing like all of this unfold as it gets crazier and crazier to like Frankie's breaking point where like him and Gumball basically break out of prison, and it's kind of it's actually very fucked on how Frankie's like fully convinced to jump off what he thinks is like a cliff like in the sewer and taking Gumball down with him. And I'm like, listen, I know that's not technically your child, but we have to be reasonable here. Why would you do that? And then when Frankie's like, well, in jail, there's no rent and free food, so why not? It's like, oh god, that is true to some people. That's like, this works. This just works. And I think it's funny, and like the way this all like unfolds is just chaos and it's kind of fucked up. I just really like it. So that's great to me. And kind of like in a similar vein is the vase, because well, we have Frankie here, we have Granny Jojo here, where she gives them a nasty vase and wants them to have it because they learn that she dumps all of the shit that she doesn't want onto them as like really crappy Christmas presents, which is that a canon old person event? I don't know. But w- this is a nitpick that is my stupid ass would only have a problem with is why do they call it a vase when it has a lid? I thought vases were like open, like like a flower vase, like kind of what they think it is. It just has vases have like an open top. Like they don't have lids on them. That's a jar. I think of it more as a jar or a trinket box. I mean, it obviously looks like a fucking urn because that's what it is. But I feel like them calling it a vase is like, is that really what it is? Can't you call it a jar? Because it kind of is a jar to me. The kind of funny thing, but that it's like honestly in character for her, so like I understand this, is when she's like, well, what are we supposed to do with it? Like, we can't just throw it out because that'll look really bad, and I can't just like smash it because I'll make myself look really bad. But if we get the kids to break it, and it just looks like, oh, the kids accidentally broke it, that's so sad. That looks more convincing, and we get rid of the damn thing. So it's like the whole thing of Nicole like saying, "Don't break the vase," wink, wink, and then that I like that because it's like, would she do that? Absolutely. I think specifically, kind of what like made me interested in this from the get go is the way the very first scene is shot. Like the way that it's like supposed to make a suspenseful type of horror vibe of Nicole trying to look through her cabinets to find like a place to put the vase, and the way that is like cut. I was like, oh, I'm hooked. I'm hooked right there because it's like I want the tone and the way this is framed like right off the bat. Like I like when they do that sometimes like this is what we're getting. This is what we got because the kind of the tone carries on as in like the vase becomes like this ominous object that won't break and is like low key cursed. And no matter what they do, it's like they can't get rid of it. I forgot about was when they give Richard the vase. It's like, oh, surely he's gonna drop it because he drops everything. And then, like, Richard doesn't drop the vase, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then Gumball's like, why couldn't he have managed that when I was a baby? Implying that, like, Richard dropped Gumball on his head as a baby, and I'm like, okay. It's kind of like when they, like, in the choices, when they just randomly mention, not randomly, but when they just casually mention that Gumball was like an accident child. It's like, no, this is casually mentioned that he was just dropped as a child. It's like, oh no, that. And I really like the whole climax scene where they take the vase to the junkyard to like get it crushed up for good. And Nicole has to like do everything in her power to like get the vase back because like it's not a joke anymore. I really mean it this time, but like they don't obviously they don't catch that drift and they're just like, oh, I guess she wasn't kidding. After she like does like acrobatics to try like trying to get up the crane to get the vase. Like I one of my like my favorite like scenes of Nicole is just her being like like strong, like very powerful, badass type. Like she'd scale up the height of a crane to go get the damn thing. And obviously it's like you can really feel the tension here. Like she's not really sure if she's gonna be able to do it, but she's like giving it her all to like go get it. And the kids are looking at her like, "Oh my god, she's doing it." It's like I like her being like strong and impressive. Like that's my those are like my favorite Nicole moments, and I really like it here because the way like the coloring and like the lighting and everything, like the way everything is like set up here. It just really conveys that tone so well. I love it. And of course it was ashes because it was the ashes of a pet snake. So I yeah, in a similar vein to the outside, I really next. Oh my god, we have the one of my absolute favorite ones like shut up. We have the matchmaker, which is obviously peak to any sane person. And I don't even care because this is so good. When this first came out, I was obsessed with it. I am still obsessed with it because not only because this is when Carrie and Darwin officially become a couple. Oh my god, it's so cute. I like love Carwin. I have shared very passionate opinions about it before. Not as much as Gumball and Penny. Obviously, I am biased in that sense, but there, I love them. together. They are so cute. But I love the way this is written so much, and I will absolutely go off on a tangent rant about why the reboot fucking this up and pisses me off so bad because this episode is so good that it pisses me off that they decide to fuck it up later on. Oh god. Because right from the jump, with the song just leading out with that, it sets the tone immediately. I will link it up in the cards, but I made a stupid ass video like related to this, so this is one of my favorite songs because no other Gumball song really feels like this. Like kind of the way they frame Darwin in this episode is kind of like a love struck emo kid, which I am obsessed with because that matches Carrie's energy. Because would he do that? Like, yeah, I think he would. Like him being emo about not being able to oh, I love her so much, but does she see me for who I am? It's like, open your eyes, bro. She loves you too. It's like, oh my god. So the whole, I wouldn't change a damn thing about this song because when I first saw it, I could feel that emotion. Like, I call it like a power ballad, like it kind of is. I just love every single aspect about the song because it conveys the emotion absolutely perfectly. In the moment when it cuts off, when Gumball's like, "What's wrong, bro?" and Darwin's like, "Nothing," and it just like ends right there. I One of my favorite openings of like anything. It's like it sets what we are to expect very well. And then Gumball like realizes that like I think there's something like wrong with him because he's being like really melodramatic like all of a sudden like I'm gonna go gaze wistfully at the sunset. And then he's like, okay. Because once Gumball, like, realizes that, again, this is like a bit of foreshadowing, then, like, I think this works so well. That he believes that the photo that Darn was yearning over was one of Terry, but it was actually one of Carrie because she doesn't show up on a film. But obviously, if you look at the picture, like a quick glance, it looks like Terry because she's like in the middle, and I'm like, that is so good. It's a callback to the photo from season 2 when Carrie's like, can't take a school photo. It's like that. It's like, oh, that is, I love that. But as Gumball approaches Carrie with the idea of, I know who Darwin likes, so I want your help to like make this happen for him. He specifically goes to her because he knows that she can make a love potion, or at least use some supernatural shit to like make it happen. I believe that's why he went to her. And he also obviously suspected that Darwin liked her. Cause he's like surprised that it's Terry. Cause he's like, oh, I thought it was you like all this time, but I guess it was Terry. Like, oh well. Like Gumball's kind of oblivious to that, but he did like understand that like as seen from Halloween and the scam that he knows that Darwin likes Carrie. Darwin won't. What's making me wonder is like every like before Gumball and Penny started dating, everyone fucking knew what they felt for each other. Like everyone did. Even Darwin is like, she's not your girlfriend, you know? It's like he knows how down bad he is for her. But in this sense, it's like I feel like Gumball knows in like a subtle cheeky way. It's like he might have caught a drift and he's like, "Oh, what if you help me steal candy to spend more time with Carrie type of thing." And kind of like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing" type of thing. I think Gumball knows that Darwin likes Carrie in kind of like a subtle sense. And I think Darwin knew that Gumball liked Penny and like you're being really fucking annoying about it sense, if you know what I mean. So I think it is important that they mention that Gumball did know that Darwin might have liked, or he believed that Darwin liked Carrie. And I will say right now, this is my favorite way they've written Carrie. I love the approach they had of basically showing her softer side of she likes Darwin. She has always liked Darwin, and the fact that he is after this other girl, she's like heartbroken by it, but she's like, I will do it for him because why would I prevent him from finding happiness just because I can't have him. It's like wanting the best for somebody despite it not involving you. And I'm like, oh, that's such a powerful thing to feel. And it's like Carrie is a very emotional character. And obviously she's like emo. She's like naturally more emotional than like most other characters. So her carrying kind of that melodramatic romanticism with her as well as Darwin, it kind of shows how like they match each other in that way. They kind of like yearn the same way, if you know what I mean. So at first Carrie's like, well, I'm gonna screw this all up because like there's no way that I'm gonna like let Darwin be with this other girl and like I'm the one that wants to be with him. But then she comes to realize on her own terms that it's like, well, I guess that's I shouldn't keep this from him. So she does indeed make the love potion with I'm gonna I'm gonna say this right now. I wrote this down specifically so I could talk about it. To make her love potion, Carrie says, in the tear of someone who loves him. And she puts her own fucking tears in that soup. So tell me this, motherfucker. Why, in the letter from the reboot, did they say ghosts cannot love when her motherfucking tears of love helped her make a magical love potion that was a little bit too effective? This is first fucking grade, like, lore knowledge. If you even watch it once, you can understand that Carrie's tears of love made the love potion, and her tears of love also broke the curse. So why the fuck are we writing it as ghosts cannot feel love and you have to accept this part of me?
Oh, he's ruining the continuity! My continuity!
Get the fuck out. Anyway, before I go too much more into that, I'm just saying that this episode pisses me off knowing what they would do later. It's like you ignored everything that we are doing here, and this is so beautifully written. This is so beautifully written, and that's just bullshit. I feel extremely strongly about that, so don't mind that. So this obviously shows that Carrie's like affection towards him is like actually genuine if like her love is able to do supernatural shit. And basically when Gumball realizes he fucked up, in which Darwin admits that the photo that he was looking at was of Carrie, not of Terry. Even in his like love possessed state, he admits that. And then Gumball realizes, oh, we fucked up. And then Carrie is about to beat his ass because of it, and she's like, now we have to fix this. But do you know how hard it is to fix a love potion? Because like now they're like obsessed with each other. Because I think it's like even Carrie doesn't know like how to reverse this. So it's like if we just try to interfere with the relationship as much as possible, then maybe we can like have a vain attempt at fixing it. But of course everything they try to do doesn't work because like obviously the spell is that strong. But obviously what we are all waiting for is Carrie's true love tears break the spell when she like kind of like realizes that there's nothing that I can do to like prevent this, and it's like all my does she blame herself for this? I don't know, but when she like kind of gives up the fact that's like there's nothing that I can do that can like take him out of this, so it's like I just have to accept my defeat, and she like cries because of it. It's a very quiet thing, but when Darwin sees this, it's like obviously true love broke the spell. And then Gumball's like, oh my god, that is right. And then, do you want to come with me somewhere to do something some other time? It's like, they're so awkward and it's so lovely, and it's like they have a kiss at the end and it is extremely fucking cute, which is why they also got this wrong. Darwin and Carrie can touch each other, you know that, right? The entire fucking premise in the reboot is that they have to use Gumball's fucking body to have physical intimacy with, but when they literally kissed on the mouth in this episode and showed no issue with that, so what the fuck are we doing?
Oh, he's ruining
So, yeah, take some notes because this is like perfect 10 out of 10. I wouldn't like change a thing about this. Next, we have. I think this surprised me like the most out of everything here. The box. I didn't realize how good this was because even I think when I was younger, I don't know if I've ever felt a particular way about this, but I really love this because I'm just like hooked like the entire time. Because this is another one of those episodes where like everyone stands around in a circle and like doesn't really do anything, but like the things they think about are like what is actually shown. You know, where it's like nothing actually happens, but like a bunch of we see a bunch of different like hypothetical situations. Just right out of the gate, I just love the way this all looks. Like the specific like dark, overcast light and that's kind of cool tone that they have inside as they're like standing around the box and it's raining outside. I just absolutely love the way the colors look because I think it conveys the mood probably the best way possible. Cause I feel very strongly about like sights and sounds like also lending into like the storytelling like elements of it and like conveying like the tone of a story, and I think them making it like like a very like a specific diluted palette to kind of like add to like the mystery and suspense of what's in the box. I love that so much. So I'm particularly jazzed when they do like color grading things that I think are very cool, which is what gets me interested to begin with. But then I feel like every single part of this is like I think this is really cool because of course everyone thinks about what's in the box and like what could happen with the thing in the box. Because with Gumball, he finds a portal gun that turns him into a man-made horrors beyond comprehension. Nicole envisions uh, running from Hitman after getting $1 million, and Richard wants to like do full RoboCop on it and like make out with the president. And Anais thinks it's gonna be like the joy part too. I feel like this episode's a kind of like besides like visually like thematically just like a darker tone because like no matter what they think about it's like it's gonna end in something really bad happening because I think like the whole like disturbing thing about like Gumball's segment is very much like creature body horror type thing where it's like I think this specific scene where Darwin walks in on him and he's like, "Whoa, you've been teleporting a lot," and he like sees Gumball in like this mangled, deformed state. And then like it's not like Darwin's like screaming and crying. He's just like kind of standing there like kind of like skittish like, "Oh, I see. Okay." Like I like the emotion they made Darwin feel. It's not just like fear, like straight fear. It's kind of like a bit of like he's holding it back a bit because like he's really not sure what he's looking at. He's like, "Ah, oh, It's like I like that type of thing. And Gumball's like almost completely chill with it. He's like, "Yeah, I tried to do this, and that, but it didn't really work out. So now I'm laying 4 different types of eggs, and there's lasers coming out of my eyes. But you know what? I can make it work." It's like he's like a low key unbothered by this, but he's like, but I'm thinking, would he do that? Absolutely, he would do that shit. Probably what I'm most interested in like everyone's fantasies is when Nicole wishes for $1 million, which obviously Nicole would like $1 million, as she said, to pay the bills with. That would have been fine if she didn't also fantasize about getting hunted for sport by hitmen, because everyone else is rightfully terrified, obviously, because they're being hunted for murder. Because she's like, this much money must belong to somebody shady and they must want it back. And everyone acts rightfully terrified of, like, we're gonna get killed. But Nicole doesn't care. She finds this as, like, the ideal situation of, like, oh, it's so much fun and adrenaline rush to do this, and we get to have all this money. Like, isn't this, like, the coolest thing ever? Why does she think putting her family in mortal danger for her own thrill is, like, an ideal situation? because I would argue like her segment is played very straight, cuz like the intensity in which this is conveyed of like the music and everything, and like the whole like mini monologue at the end when like the hitman's like, and there'll be another man after me and a one after me and you will never find peace. That the way that is like shot as he's like literally about to be crushed by like a burning car. And he's like saying this, it's like pitch black out with only like the light of the fire to like serve as the light, and then he says all this like in a completely straight tone. Nicole saying, "But we'll be millionaires," and I'm like, I don't hate that. I'm just wondering what the hell is going on in her head to like actively want that. Anyway, I also like Richard's part in like I understand it's like a parody thing of some action movie I haven't seen or whatever, but I do like how he wants to be seen as like this badass that can like do all the things, and he can be like so slick about it. And the specific thing of Richard is extremely bisexual and how he wants to like kiss the president so badly. Gotta add a bit of yaoi in there just for good measure. But I thought that was like funny in that aspect, but also like the tone of that in of itself, and also like the tone of like Anais's like zombie apocalypse situation. I just loved like the tone of all this, because kind of like the tones kind of like carry in each other. It's like there's that's what I think that is why when Darwin's like, I want the box to play pretend with, and he's about to like sing his song about like imagine the world if you were in the if you had the eyes of a kid, then Gumball's like, no, I said it was stupid. So it's like Darwin doesn't even get to have his own like time to like have a daydream about it, because like tonally it would simply not match everyone else's. And I think there was a very specific type of mood they wanted for this episode, so like, well, let's do a fake out where like Darwin's about to have his moment of like being cute and shit, but Gumball just shuts it down like, no. So I thought that was like cool that they did that. It's not so much like everyone gets to have like a daydream. It's like, no, these daydreams kind of like set the same pace type of thing. But when they realize that, oh, the box, they're fighting over the box, but it gets struck by lightning, and then it turns out, oh, it's Mr. Robinson's package, but he had an ointment for this really horrifying sounding rash thing he had on his ass or something. I love another, just a very small moment that I absolutely love is when Mr. Robinson like knocks on the door, and then Gumball's like does his stupid little face, and he's like, my favorite, and he like hugs Mr. Robinson. Just the way he says it, and like that, it's such a quick thing, but it's like I just love it so much. It's like this is how we're conveying like Gumball being obsessed with Mr. Robinson is like, it's just I just love it. It's so like cute and stupid, and he's like my favorite. It's like, oh my god, I love that. So honestly, this is so good. I really like what they went for. Okay, next we have the console. And I will say that like I think I used to like this more than I like now, but not because it's like bad. Like it's not bad at all. I actually like it. I like it a good amount. But I think at least like what I've noticed now about this specifically is just how heavy-handed this is. I just think it's a bit too heavy-handed in what they're trying to convey, like stating the obvious, okay? This is what I'm like hung up about, cuz like the amount of times they state the obvious, like, oh, all RPGs are like this, or all video games are like this, or like, I know what's gonna happen. It's like, it's too referential for its own good. Because I don't know if it's just because I don't care about what they're referencing. I was never like video game person. Like I played video games as a kid, but it's like that was never like a main interest of mine. Specifically like very like vintage video games. Like yes, this episode kind of reminds me of playing on my dad's GameCube when I was like little or whatever, but like I don't care enough about what they're referencing to like be super excited about this episode simply because it is a reference. 'Cause I think the reason why this is like regarded as it is because like those who connect with the source material like this like strongly, they get more enjoyment out of it, which is completely respectable. I understand that. It's just to me personally, I don't have that type of connection. Like this isn't like necessarily nostalgic for me, or it's like it's about something I'm like super interested in. It's like I think it's cool. Like I like that it looks like a video game and like they're playing it like a video game from cursed Game Boy knockoff at the Awesome Store. It's like I like that. It's just like I don't really get the full intensity of this because it's like I don't care about video games like that where I'm so obsessed with like all the references they make. I just feel like if it was a little less heavy-handed and like specific, like when Gumball's like, "Oh no, a side quest we have to spend all day on that's worth nothing," or like all RPGs are like this, and that. It's like, okay, I'll take your word for it, but I'm just like, it feels a bit too much. I wish it was more subtle. I think that's like the main thing. I wish this was a little more subtle in their approach to it. Not necessarily because they're in a video game, but just the way they talk within the game universe. I feel like is a bit too referential for its own good. But despite that, I think this is like nice. Like it's a nice like video game type episode where it's like the characters specifically because it is from the cursed game console from the Awesome Store, like it brings some of that in and kind of like how the Awesome Store like distorts reality. I like that. And I think it's like a nice like solid story like the whole thing like battling the things and going to the places and doing whatever the fuck they doing. I like this, but it doesn't like make me I'm not like obsessed with it. I think simply because like this is specifically made for people that like love video games so much and I'm not her, so I'm like this is cool. This is kind of cool, but I don't get much out of it besides kind of cool. So my personal I think it's good, but I'm not the audience for this. I think that's the main thing. I'm simply not the target demographic for this, and that's fine. Anyway, next we have the alley. I think I remember like I specifically remember this one because I think I watched it like enough when I was younger, or like I remember like watching this for the first time or something. And obviously the thing about the alley that like everyone like talks about is the animation sequence near the end, which obviously is like cool. Like whenever they do that, it's like cool. And of course, that's what I remember from it. But what I think, I wouldn't say it doesn't work for me necessarily. It's just like what I'm not as interested in is kind of like the plot around it. Like I'm not gonna be obsessed with this episode just because there's like the animation change. Like what's the story around this? Because the whole thing of like Gumball is not gonna admit that he's like a poser for being like being a skater boy or whatever. And he's like, I can totally skateboard. You just need to learn from like the expert touches myself. Would he do that? Absolutely. I'm not saying this is not some shit he would do because it is, because he wants to be as cool as he wants to be. Even if it means faking his entire skill set to make himself seem cool. Would he do that? Oh yeah. I do understand the whole thing of like Gumball is a poser, but he's not gonna admit that he is a poser because yes, that is something he would do. And I understand why he like doubles down so much of like trying to convince Darwin that he is like as knowledgeable as he wants to have him believe. And I think like Darwin like just keep like up to a certain point like basically believe in him because Gumball's act is completely unconvincing to the audience, but to Darwin he doesn't care. I think that is fine. But I feel like it's just like how much of back and forth of that can I do before I'm like, okay, this is kind of well, maybe it's because I don't care about skateboarding either. Like, no, that is not what I do. So I'm like, maybe if you're like into skateboarding, you might get more out of this. I'm not really sure. Let me know if that would be the case. because I do understand what they're trying to say in the whole, like, the commodification of, like, punk values is kind of, like, diluting the actual movement. I understand they're not being punk rockers, but, like, being, like, rebel skaters is kind of, like, the middle school version of that, I suppose. Like, I understand where this is coming from. And I'm like, oh, I see that. Specifically when they come out of the shop wearing the identical outfits and like they say the same thing as like you poor conformist drone or something like that, and like it's supposed to be ironic. Like I understand that message and the whole thing of like Gumball maybe you shouldn't lie about being someone you're not because you're not him. And I honestly think like the animation change was just an excuse to like make something in this concept look really cool. Like to have us like believe that Gumball like can do all these cool like skating tricks. Like I like how it looks, but I'm like, is this just to flex the animation budget? I'm not saying the scene's like a nothing burger, because it's not, because it shows like Gumball chasing to get to Darwin. But I'm like, I feel like it was like, I don't care that it like takes up a decent amount of the episode because I like it. It's just I wonder if like, did y'all create this with that in mind? I don't know. And even in the end when like Gumball can't really like be able to show anyone his tricks, even though he's been clearly shown to like have some great skating abilities, it's like I can take it or leave it. But I guess Gumball being a cringe fail was just part of his DNA, so maybe he's not meant to be a skater boy. I don't know. I like it, but it's not the most interesting thing for me because I don't get too much out of it because I'm not into skateboarding or whatever. And I just feel like, yeah, it's like fine. Like I understand what we're doing and everything, and it makes sense for Gumball specifically, but you know, it's just not really what I'm interested in. All right, last up, not least, but last, we have the catfish, which I was actually like surprised surprised by. All of the episodes where like an extended family member is mentioned has like surprised me so far. Like the outside and the vase and now the catfish. Because this whole thing of like Gumball and Darwin feel really bad that Grandpa Louie doesn't like have friends on Elmore Plus, and they decide to become his friend so he feels less lonely. Even though Gumball's like, oh, it's really lame to be friends with your grandpa online, but Darwin's like, but come on, he looks so lonely. So Gumball has the great fucking idea of making a fake profile of a woman as like his as like disguise themselves. What I found interesting, I don't know how seriously they decided to convey this or if it's meant to be like a nothing burger joke. I don't really know. But when Gumball says it's just how I feel inside when Darwin asks him like why he made the persona a woman and not just some dude, and then Gumball says it's just how I feel inside. I'm like, that is extremely like transcoded, and I'm like, did they mean that? Because I want them to mean that. It's like it's like that would be so cool if we get if that was like something he actually felt like something weird about his gender or something like that. But it's like I have a feeling that it wasn't that deep, and I'm like, no. But then they quickly realize that first, Louis is a terrible texter because who the hell texts like that? Where it literally drives him crazy that he's like sends every sentence in like an individual text, and then he like basically trauma dumps onto Muriel, and he's like, "You're like so nice. I love talking to you. You listen to me so well." It's like the most obvious but less humorous solution is for Gumball to simply put it on Do Not Disturb, but or like turn off the computer or something. Like obviously that's the rational solution, but I understand why it was done like that to get to the full effect. But I see this quite a bit being circled around, but the whole scene of Gumball's phone kills itself because it doesn't want to imagine what Granny JoJo's vagina looks like. That's so ridiculous if you like say it plainly, but obviously when Louis like daydreaming about Granny JoJo. He's like in her cutie patootie, she's about to show her ass. It's like we know what that means, and and like the phone killing itself because I don't want to know that is so fucked. But it's like I kind of love it because actually I think this episode is like probably my favorite like way they've written Granny JoJo. Like honestly, because the whole thing is that they are convinced that Louis likes Muriel like romantically, even though he's married to Granny JoJo. So they think, oh shit, we have to like shut this down because this is like really bad if she finds out. And of course she does find out. And she's out for blood and she wants to track her down and beat the piss out of her for taking her man, for cheating, for hooking up with him despite being married to her. I think even though of course we understand that it was just a big misunderstanding. He just wanted to be real life friends with her, not romantic. But with the limited information that Granny JoJo has, that she is convinced that he is speaking to another woman behind her back, she can crash the fuck out as much as she pleases. I'm gonna say that. I support her more than I think I ever had in any other episode. Like, I understand why she would do that. It's like, she literally thought her husband was having an affair with some random woman. She can go kill her for all I care if that was to be true. But it's like she is fully convinced that she knows that. So I don't even know if it's like meant to be like we're supposed to believe that Granny JoJo's being like delirious in her attempts to strangle Muriel. Because obviously they try to chase her down to like so she doesn't kill somebody. But it's like, is the audience meant to believe that she's being delirious? Because with her limited information, this is completely plausible. But of course, it is then revealed that she's like overprotective of who he sees because she's scared that he's gonna like leave her for someone else. Like I will say this. That is I love how they did that with her having like attachment issues pretty much. Because with the way that Frankie left her, if we can think about it like this. If we can think about the way that Frankie walked out on her and Richard all those years ago, would it make sense for Granny JoJo to like have like attachment issues related to that? Because she doesn't want him to leave her like he has left her in the past. So I think that the way that Frankie has treated her in the past kind of affects the current situation because if she's so paranoid that he's gonna leave her for someone else to the point where she becomes overbearing in the way that she usually is. It's kind of in a different way than she is with Richard, but it's like in a similar vein where we see where this is coming from. Where she's obsessed with keeping Louis under her clutch because she loves him so much that she just can't let him go because she has seen people let her go before and she don't want to deal with that again. Especially with someone she feels very strongly about. So her reaction is completely valid here in the way that she wants to basically kill her because she took her man. Fucking love that actually. So I'm like I support her. Go get her, girl. If that was actually the case, because at first I was like, oh wait, is he actually cheating on his wife? Like a true adultery going on? It's like, of course not. Of course not. He is. Louis too nice for that shit. So obviously that's not what he's doing. But I think that all of this is just really interesting. Specifically, I didn't expect to be like invested in like Granny JoJo and Louis' relationship like as much as I am here because I do like the other episodes where they are like together, but I think this is one of my favorite ones of it because it shows more depth in their relationship. Like I said before, how I think that Frankie helped form Granny JoJo's like attachment issues. Yeah, I think that's great. So with all that, they're all honestly kind of in the same spot on my list, but it's great. I really like this. But that is it. Oh, we are done, and if we take a look at this whole thing, we actually see that it's pretty like even. Symmetrical even. It's almost symmetrical in how these laid. I found it interesting that like obviously we got some of my like absolute all-time favorites here because like oh my god. But I feel like a lot of it falls kind of like in the middle, you know? Like there's a lot of great, but there's just a lot of good. Good is good, obviously. Good is good. There's only a couple that I really don't feel a particular way about or just like whatever. So there's a lot that I think is either great or like good. I wish there was more great, but you know what? We still have 20 more episodes to add to this list for part 2, so yeah. So subscribe for part 2. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.